Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Susan Lopresti Wellness, Mind, Body, and Soul, the podcast where we explore the highs, the lows, and everything in between when it comes to a woman's life, her health, and all aspects of navigating the midlife landscape. I'm your host, Susan Lopresti, and today I have a very special guest with me. She's actually a friend of mine. We were in a group coaching program together and we stayed connected. Her name is Julie Scott. Julie is an immersive meditation coach. She's a hypnotherapist, a life coach, and author, as well as a lover of cats. Just shy of her 40th birthday, Julie looked around her life and she wondered, is this all there is for me? She worked a job she hated, living in a city she longed to leave, and her marriage was falling apart. After decades of struggling with people-pleasing, overgiving, and low self-esteem, the end of her marriage in 2005 was really her wake-up call to make some major changes. Over the next 10 years, Julie read every self-help book that she could get her hands on. Julie also hired a life coach to help her to delve deeper into what beliefs were holding her back from going after what she truly wanted in life. She slowly started to become aware of unhealthy habits and patterns. While working with her coach, Julie started coaching herself as she picked up quickly on the process and soon recognized that coaching was something that came naturally to her and that it was a career path that she could pursue. In 2016, she earned her life coaching ICF certification and quickly began working with clients. Julie always worked with a coach for herself as she believed in the process. However, she noticed a pattern for herself and also for her clients. Once she stopped working with a particular coach, or when her clients completed their program with Julie, although the progress was made during the time they were together, she still found the same limiting beliefs and habits popping up in her life and in her client's life as well. She thought there had to be a way to make real change, change that lasted. That's when she started reading books about epigenetics and how the brain and the body work. She also learned about how powerful the subconscious mind is, running 95% of our daily thoughts, feelings, and actions. It's also where all of our core beliefs are stored that we acquired from 0 to 7 years of age, and that we can't access the subconscious from a conscious state. With this new information under her belt, Julie began her own meditation practice and also became a certified hypnotherapist since 2021. Julie has been using a combination of coaching, meditation, and hypnotherapy for her own continued self-discovery and growth with amazing results. Meditation has also helped Julie to deepen her own sense of spirituality as she connected with her inner self and the ultimate source, which has now become her sacred place to gain clarity, focus, truth, strength, and wisdom. In 2023, Julie became an immersive meditation coach through GMF, Guided Meditation Framework, then introduced this proven method into her coaching practice, and her clients enjoy the ease of making change with this new process. And the best part, it's a lasting change that continues to produce results long after working with Julie. Julie likes to think of the process as effortless change because that's what it feels like. clients find themselves doing things differently without thinking about it. They're more confident in themselves because they've come to know that they too can access their inner self for clarity, wisdom, and change. By shifting their focus from what is outside of them, they find all the answers that they need inside of them. Julie's mission is to help stuck, uninspired people connect with their inner self, reprogram their subconscious, and gain clarity so that they can change effortlessly. Her hope is to touch the lives of thousands of people, introducing them to all the power and the potential that they have inside of themselves. So, without further ado, Julie, welcome to my podcast. I am so excited to have you here with me today.
Wow, thank you so much. Listening to my bio, I'm like, wow, I have been at this for a while.
Yes, you
It's
have, and you've
it
made
really
some
has been.
wonderful strides, really.
Thank you. Thank you. Quite the journey, and I'm really happy to be here. So thank you so much for having me on your show.
You're welcome. Julie, I want to start by asking you, do you think that you would be where you are today if you didn't have those earlier challenges that you did, where you just knew there was something more for you and you were unhappy where you were living and you were also extremely unhappy in your marriage? Do you think that that had
Oh,
anything?
absolutely. I
Yeah,
mean, I think, it's funny. I just was thinking about this the other day. I was driving in my car and I heard a song on the radio that reminded me of my ex. And I got this lump in my throat for a second, and I was like, "Wait a minute. I'm not sad about this anymore. That's just my body's reaction for years of feeling guilty over having a failed marriage." But I've come to realize and honor the feelings that I had at that time because I felt like I made the best choice at that time in my life, and thank goodness I did make that choice to leave my ex because I wouldn't be where I am right now. That was the catalyst in my adult life to wake me up and make me look around my life and go, wait a minute, I've been pretending that I'm happy for a long time. And that's just no way to live. And I believe there's more for me here. So, absolutely, it was one of the best things that could have possibly happened to me, albeit painful. I think that's how the universe kind of wakes us up as they,
yeah,
it shakes our, because I believe that we're always being divinely guided, and I think that that divine guidance was what got me out of that and into my new life that I'm enjoying now.
right.
So,
So when
yeah.
you're not living authentically and in truth, right? Your body sometimes will manifest
Ah,
either an illness or anxiety or depression. And that's a message that we really need to learn to, like, what is my body trying to tell me right now? And
ah,
connect with that. And it's really painful because I went through a divorce as well. And it's painful to finally admit, although it's also liberating to say, okay, I've tried everything, it's not working. And you have these hopes and dreams when you get married that you want to, be married forever and have this wonderful life. And it's very disheartening when you begin to realize that not only is it not wonderful, but it could be miserable as well. So, yeah, so it
yeah.
awakens something in us.
It does, and it allowed for me, I mean, again, for me, what it allowed me to do was to look back at that relationship rather than thinking it was a mistake, because I still don't think it was a mistake. I
Right.
was meant to marry him and have that experience so that I could pull that into where I am now, and not from a disgruntled standpoint, but just to see that my younger self, my 24-year-old self that met him at the bowling alley, which was probably not the most secure and confident and truthful person to herself or others at the time. Again, I was caught up in heavy in people pleasing and wanting to be liked, wanting to be loved, wanting to be validated by people outside of me. I didn't realize that that validation needed to come from me because all that really mattered was what I think of me, not what anyone else thinks of me. But, again, it was stepping stones to get to the confidence and the clarity that I feel now in my life. But I don't regret that. And my body did. I To your point, my body did keep the score. I love that book, The Body Keeps the Score. But I can see, like, how I used to carry an extra 25 or 30 pounds that I would diet, lose, gain, lose, gain, lose, gain, and now that I've been in this time of my life, even past menopause, of being peaceful and calm and happy and truly authentic with myself and others in my life, my body has just stabilized. Like, I don't have to worry about my weight. I lost that 25 or 30 pounds, and I've just stayed this way for about 7 years now. I mean, it's crazy. Dieting used to be a huge part of my life, it no longer is.
Right. Well, maybe food fed something in you
Yeah. You
that
hungry for food? Are you hungry for life? I've always thought that.
yes, yes.
100%.
Well, the only
Yeah.
thing I will say, do you have children with your ex?
I don't. He had 2 children from his first marriage, and they served as birth control for me.
Oh, yes. Well, I was
Being a step-parent's no joke.
right. What I was going to say is that not everything was in vain because we did have one child together and she's my greatest blessing. And I always say I would do it all again if I knew that I would get hurt again, you know?
Sure.
So something good did come out of it. But I think as we're getting older, we're also not willing to put up with a lot of the things that we were putting up with when we were younger.
Yeah.
You find
True.
that to be the truth as well?
Absolutely, and I just wanna share because we did talk about this before you hit record, but it's worth talking about.
Yeah.
I read years ago in a book by Dr. Christiane Northrup, I think it's either one of her books on menopause, and it escapes me which book exactly it was, but she talks about how when we're born as baby girls, we're in our normal state. And when we go into our childbearing years, when we have our menstrual cycle and all those years that we're menstruating, that's actually an abnormal state wherein our body takes on these hormones and chemicals and changes in the body to be able to produce a human being for one thing, but also to protect that human, to be selfless, to lay down our life for our child because that's all about the survival of the human race, right? I mean, women have to have that or they'd probably kill their young. You have to have that nurturing aspect to you. But here's the thing. When we go through menopause, our everybody knows our hormones change, your estrogen levels change, your testosterone levels go up, and it returns us to our normal state again. And so it makes sense that after we've gone through menopause, we want to and feel we have a strong desire to want to turn the attention back to ourselves, to focus on ourselves again. But so many women feel guilty about that because they're still stuck in the identity of mother,
Yes.
right? And they feel guilty if I take time for myself because when you're in your childbearing years, you probably didn't have time for yourself because you were carrying, but now you do. And it's about letting go of that identity because you're back to your normal state. And to me, that knowledge just really, in a lot of ways, set me free. I'm like, oh, that's why I feel like this. That's why I don't care as much about taking care of other people or pleasing other people, right? It's more I was able to turn the focus and attention back to myself and not feel bad about it. And not to mention meditating around it and accessing the subconscious and letting go of those old stories about what that meant to focus on myself. It means I love myself. And that's what I want to teach all the youth around me, all the people around me, because that's the answer. If we love ourselves, we'll
Yes.
basically heal the world. I mean, that's what we need, so
I read that book also, and I believe another thing that she talks about in that book is that women, a lot of times when they're in midlife and they're married, and now they're empty nesters because their children are either away at college or done with college and on their own. And now here's the woman with her spouse, and they're looking at each other. Well, what do we have in common? Because the commonality was raising the children. And usually the man, especially in the earlier years, the man would go to work and the wife stayed home and was the homemaker.
Right.
And all of a sudden now she doesn't need to raise children. She doesn't need to do any of those responsibilities. And now she wants to start exploring what she wants for herself. And a
Yeah.
lot of times the spouse is not comfortable with that because he's
Yeah.
used to her being the homemaker and taking care of the home and him and his needs. And so women get divorced at that point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I've worked with quite a few women who were either ready to get a divorce, some did get a divorce, some ended up working through it with their partner. It just depends on the dynamic and the relationship. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, shifting the focus back to yourself. And here's the thing, nobody likes change, right? We like to stay in what we know, right? Because the change means something unknown, right? So we fear change for that reason. But the thing is that we only get those urges to change because there is something more for us, right? And again, it's our soul calling us forward to something better, something different, something new, something that tells you that you're not done, right? And I think that men, I mean, and I have worked with some men, but more so women are more open, I find, to wanting to change, whereas men really do get stuck in a rut and they don't, they shift their focus and energy to their family, their job, and again, they're not focusing on themselves either. And sometimes when the wife focuses on herself, it triggers the husband because deep down he longs to focus on himself too. And seeing another person doing it triggers the arguments. And that's where the fights come in. So um I always sometimes I've sat down with both parties and it's like we all just need to focus on ourselves. And it's something that we're not taught, but the only way that we can be good for anyone else is to take care of ourselves first. That's, again, that's why you put the oxygen mask on yourself first, right? I mean, you're no good to anyone if you're not taking care of yourself. And it's the same for the man. And that's why I always encourage couples when they're in that situation. You have to encourage each other. We have to focus on ourselves and then come back together. And then the other thing I always think about, especially in long term relationships, we think we know everything about our partner, but there's no way you could ever know everything about a person. No way. And so it's just about getting curious about what you might not know and focusing on the things about them that you love that I have found works in long-term relationships. I'm in a 15-year relationship now, and it's longer than any other relationship I've been in. And I attribute that to being able to focus on the things about him that I love rather than the things that irritate me. Because those things are there, and I'm sure I irritate him too. So
Oh,
those things are-
absolutely. But I feel like it's a healthy relationship if he has his interests and they may not be what the woman is interested in, and vice versa. And both can feel comfortable doing the things that they enjoy doing, and then coming together to enjoy doing other things that they both enjoy. So that independence and not being joined at the hip every day. So I don't feel like that's a healthy relationship. I think you need your own friends, your own independence, your own things that you're into, and
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's the healthiest thing for a relationship is to have almost like separate lives and then you come back
Yeah.
together and then you enjoy your time together. Absolutely.
Do you find that some men are not receptive to that? Like they get uncomfortable when their spouse or significant other has other interests?
Oh, yeah. And again, I'm always thinking from the subconscious, what belief does that man have that is triggering him to feel defensive about his wife? It's an insecurity, okay, but where does that insecurity come from? Because of the identity that he's been in for all those years of husband and wife, right? So he's in this role and maybe he's put all his focus on her, and when she's pulling her focus away, it makes him feel unlovable or not important, or right? So it triggers old beliefs that he formed as a kid,
Right.
right, that are just coming up. So it happens all the time, and unless people are willing to look beneath what is, what their knee-jerk reaction is in any relationship, then nothing is gonna change, and which is exactly why I do the work that I do with people. It's
Mhm.
like, you've got to address where the beliefs live, and you can't do it talking. You just can't.
So that's
You
when hypnosis would work perfect.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a blend of hypnosis and meditation. I call it relaxation plus contemplation. So you take, you have a conversation. Let's just say what we're talking about, and then if we were to go into a meditation together, right? These topics would be top of mind, and so I would guide you through a relaxing moment just to take you inside your heart, where I believe your true self lives and where your truth lies, right? And then you can, with just a few prompts from me, go deep into yourself, forget about everything outside of you, and go to what is true for you and figure out why you're blocked around, being willing to do XYZ, whatever that is.
Mhm.
And oftentimes we aren't given the actual core belief of what is holding you back, but you're able to see the situation through creative, fresh, new eyes. Whereas before, consciously, you're not able to actually get past the habit of, oh, he's just a lazy bum and won't change. He's stuck, whatever that is that right? It's like we all need to be able to get quiet and go within and figure out, even ask the question. It's like, what is holding me back? What is stopping me from seeing this in a different way? What is a different way that I could see this that would make me feel good, benefit me, and help me move forward in this? And those are all the kinds of things that I encourage my clients to do when they're in a meditation, because that is the place where you're safe, where you're secure, where you can come to it from place of neutrality rather than those high emotions that come up when we talk about things when you get triggered. You don't get triggered in a meditative, relaxed state. You just don't. And it's a safer place to address those deep wounds that we all have that often get triggered from the people that are closest to us in our lives.
Yes. So talk about the hypnosis aspect. What
Well, I was doing just specifically hypnosis for about a year and a half. And although I like that, what I really love about what I do now is hypnosis is where I pay attention to the words that a client uses to describe a situation. And when they're in a meditative or a relaxed state, then using those words within a sentence to suggest to them a shift in thinking. That's how hypnotherapy works. So that was fine, but I really wanted to get myself out of the equation because I believe that everyone has the ability to go to that place and find their own truth really without being prompted. And so the hypnotherapy comes in during the conversation that we have before the meditation, because whatever you talk about last and then go into a meditation, that's what is a top of mind, because that's just what you just talked about. And especially if, and I encourage everyone, you go in with an intention to be open and curious about the subject that we're talking about, because obviously there's something there that needs to be uncovered, released, let go of, etc. And so that's how the process works. So I got away from just doing the hypnotherapy into this blend of hypnotherapy and meditation. And honestly, my job now is to relax. And the more that I relax, my client relaxes and they're able to go deeper and deeper into themselves. And that's where all their power, all their wisdom, all their strength, everything that they need is there in them. And I just want to guide them there. I want to
so
take myself out of the equation.
when you say that you relax yourself,
Mhm.
so obviously it's about energy. So then the
Yep.
client picks up your energy of
Yep.
a calming state and they follow suit. It's so interesting because the other night I was watching The Dog Whisperer. Have you ever
Oh,
watched?
yeah.
And when he was going to clients' homes, he was telling the owners of the dogs, it's your energy that they're reacting to. You
It
have
is.
to lower your energy level and relax and feel comfortable. And so it's the same. I mean, we're talking dogs versus humans,
But
but
it's
the
all the same.
yes,
It's all the same because everything is energy.
yeah,
And the more that we understand that and just buy into that because that is what's true. They've proven it with quantum physics. I mean, with everything, they've scientifically proven that energy is everything. And, and everybody knows this because if you walk into someone's home and like a couple and they just had an argument, even though they're smiling, you can feel the tension in the air between them, even though you don't, you're like, something's off. You feel it. Right. And the more that you tune into that for yourself and for others, that only improves relationships. Just becoming, we all want to think that, oh, that's invisible, that's woo woo, that doesn't matter. It's like it's real and it matters. And like I said, if I calm myself and I relax, I drop my shoulders, I breathe deep, I surrender my weight to the chair, all the things that I say to get someone to I do those things for myself on the other end. And it just even over Zoom, it communicates
yeah,
because energy, it's there just like that. Just like when you have a thought about someone, you send somebody love, they receive it just
yeah.
like that. Because in the quantum, everything is now. There is no space or time. It all happens instantaneously. So I could geek out on all that stuff.
Yes, me too. So you're thinking about someone, oh, I haven't heard from so and so in a while. And the next thing you know, you look at your phone, you have a text message from them, or they're calling you. And you're
Yes,
right. I was just thinking about you. Yeah, it's not a coincidence.
it isn't.
It
No.
really isn't. So
Have you ever heard of the book called E Squared?
yes, I just finished Pam Grout.
Yes,
I just
I
finished
read that
it.
years ago. I have it right here. It's so funny. And I
Yes.
have I have something that I do with another friend called Quantum Awakening, and we're going through that book on our show. And that I highly recommend that book to anyone who doesn't understand that you are creating your life through your thoughts and feelings. If you want hard evidence, hard proof that you are, that book has 9 do-it-yourself experiments.
Yes,
And
I
one
did.
of my yes, me too, and I'm going on them a second time around, and I've forgotten how powerful this book was, but it was really the foundation of me shifting and building my own sense of spirituality and understanding how powerful I really am and how I'm co-creating, my life.
Did you read her other book about the Course in Miracles?
This is not her book, this is a Course in Miracles
Um,
workbook. This is a
yeah.
workbook for students, but I've been going through this as well a couple of times, so
I
yeah,
was first introduced to A Course in Miracles, I wanna say in 1995.
oh, cool, yeah.
And I have the book and I have the workbook. And so Pam Grout breaks it down in very layman terms. And,
Yep,
she's got like a great way of writing. She's funny. She's very whimsical. And I'm
yes,
really enjoying that book. I have it in the other room. I don't want to go get it, but it's a great
yeah.
book. It's so funny you brought that up. So
Yeah, I'm
really too,
synchronicities.
we did this master class last week for
Am I on
5
a
days
challenge? Yeah.
about that program. Tell the audience so that if they're interested, they could sign up for that. If
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's my signature challenge. It's a 5-day challenge that I do. It's free and it's over Zoom. I usually talk about it on Facebook, which is I have a good sized group on Facebook as well. But my coming home challenge really is it just helps you to experience effortless change in just 5 days and be able to create a connection within yourself. So for 5 days in a row, I teach about why you would want to learn to do relaxation and contemplation to make change in your life. I make a strong argument about how technology is keeps us all very busy, keeps us all very anxious and wound up, especially with all the things that's coming at us from television 24/7, news, world news, everything. So And just
Maybe.
understanding how our brains and bodies work with stimulus and I share my scientific way of looking at things and just give you a sample of what it's like to be led in a meditation and be led into your heart and just see what kind of clarity you can get. And I found, just for 5 days in a row, it's really life-changing to everyone that's gone through it. They're like, "Wow, I've never meditated before. I didn't think I could do it. I thought I had too busy of a mind, and turns out I don't." It's like anyone can meditate, and it's funny because so often I hear, "Oh, I can't stop thinking." It's like meditation is not stopping thinking. You can't stop thinking.
Right.
However, you can have focused thinking and you can actually, you know, find yourself in a place of calm and peace and figure out maybe what you want to do around a particular subject, you know. Make your priorities. Get to what is the most important to you. And especially if you're a people pleaser, you really need to check in with yourself because you're so focused outside of you on taking care of everyone else. Women in general, I find, are in that habit from being mothers and, like we talked about earlier. But being able to go within and ask yourself, what do I really want? A lot of women I talk to, especially I work with women primarily over 50, they don't know what they want. They just know they don't want what they have. So they just want something else. And I help them get clarity around what that is. And it's just so beautiful to watch them, almost be rebirthed and just start again in life at 50, 60, and beyond. It's just the most beautiful thing to witness. So,
So after the 5-day challenge, if
mhm.
someone wanted to go further with you, what do you offer at that point to them?
I offer my coming home program. It's an 8-week program. It's process driven, meaning I have topics for each week. And it just takes you through a gradual opening of yourself and a connection to your source within. And it's just a beautiful process, again, of deepening your connection with yourself and establishing it as a source for you to go to for answers all the time, not just when you're in a crazy situation. It's anytime, like, even I even use it. I know this sounds crazy, but if I'm gonna be a speaker next week at this, women's group, I'm like, "What should I wear?" Because you know how we can stand in front of our closet forever, and it's like, "What should I wear?" I go into meditation, it's like, "What should I wear?" And it comes to me just like that. So I use it for anything and everything, and it's become my best friend, and I want that for everyone who does it because there's nothing like being able to depend on your inner source to guide you because it has the 30,000-foot view of your life and can tell you what turns to make that are best in your best interest and everyone around you. It's a
Is
wonderful
that
way
a
to be.
group coaching program or is it individual?
It's actually individual. I ran it originally as a group program, but I have found that the connection needs to be stronger between me and the client, and I prefer to do it one-on-one. It just makes their progress is much greater and their clarity and connection becomes that much stronger, and I just prefer to work with people one-on-one. So,
Will you be able to give me the links and I'll put them in the show notes if anyone is
absolutely,
interested in
absolutely.
joining even your 5-day challenge, which was great. And I was really disappointed that I didn't make all 5 days for other commitments. And I have the recordings. I have to go back. But I enjoyed 3 of the lives.
Yeah,
And
you did.
when I was done and I walked away from my computer, I just sat down and I could feel my energy just being so much more relaxed and
Yeah.
calming and more focused and it's a great feeling, it really was, and the information that you provided was just so valuable, and a lot of it's like, "Yeah, that makes perfect sense," it's just
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, well, for me, I need to know why I'm doing something. It's like if I'm going to spend my time doing something, you better give me a good reason why. And I feel like that's what I do in those 5 days. So I
Yes,
absolutely will give the link. That would be the first step would be go through that challenge so they understand the meaning behind it, so they can assign a greater meaning
yeah.
to what they're doing. So,
Any final thoughts that you'd like to leave my listeners? Let's say there's a woman who's on here listening, and she's in that place where we were years
mhm.
ago, where we were not happy. we felt stuck, could not find but so for me, I couldn't figure out a way out.
Mm.
There were finances involved, there was a lot of different so what do you tell someone who's struggling like that, the way our lives were at one point?
Yeah. Well, in fact, somebody said to me, it's like, it doesn't get easier, it just gets later. And I get that. And
Mm.
it isn't it doesn't it isn't something easy, I understand. I'm not gonna make light of it and say, "Oh, just leave. It's easy," you know? It isn't. But the thing is that you'll never regret it because you have that yearning for a reason because you are meant to have something different. And it may be a lot of different things. It could be leaving your husband, it could be staying with your husband, it could be a lot of things. But I encourage you just to get curious about what it is you really want. And you can just close your eyes for 5 deep breaths and ask yourself a question. It's like you can ask yourself a question before this. Say, what should I do? Should I stay or should I go? And take down the answers that come to your mind just consciously. And then I want you to sit down, close your eyes, and take 5 audible breaths. So you can hear yourself inhale and exhale. I don't care how you do it, but I want 5 deep audible breaths. And then ask yourself that question again. And I'll bet you'll get a different answer. And if you start following the answers you get after that process, it's going to tell you what your next best step is. And it will also give you the clarity and the confidence that it will be a good move. I mean, you just got to start deepening your connection with yourself and trusting your gut and what you're feeling is right for you, and then move forward and just take baby steps. You don't have to decide everything overnight. Just take baby steps and start imagining what it is you want to create in your life. And before you know it, you'll be there.
What's your thoughts on journaling?
Yeah, well, that's part of what I do.
Mhm.
I have my clients after they come out of a meditation, I have them grab their pen and paper and write down whatever they're more aware of. Like, whatever came through, because every time you sit down to do a meditation of any kind, something comes through. And it could be just one picture, it could be a color, it could be a word, it could be a thought, it could be a feeling in your body. But if you start paying attention to those things, those are all signs and ways that the universe or God or the ultimate source is trying to guide you because it's always guiding you. You just have to start paying attention to the signs of what it's trying to show you. And yeah, I mean, so journaling is a great way to do it. And again, with that exercise, in fact, I'll give you the link to that. It's a free guide that I have to make decisions from your heart versus your head. So I'll share that with your audience because that's a great little tool just to start initially making that connection with the source in you that's always been there, but you've drowned it out by paying attention to everything out here.
Great. Thank you, Jill.
You're welcome. Been an
I'm
absolute
so
pleasure.
glad that you came on today.
Oh,
This is a valuable lesson, especially for my audience, because it's mostly women who I call them mature women. So
mhm.
anyone in their late 40s and older. And I feel like this is the time in their life where all of this transformation really starts coming up and they're looking for um,
Yeah.
a way
There,
out.
I call it we're in full bloom.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Thank you so much, Julie. I really
It's been
appreciate it. And for my audience, I will put all of the information in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening today. And until the next time, be well, stay happy, and bye for now.